Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, everyone, to WildEarth TV Safari Live Game Drive this morning. It's myself and Dave. We are on the northeastern part of South Africa. As we said a few times, it is a live safari. So anything that we are going to see this morning will be on live TV, as well as this beautiful sunset that's going to be arising just ahead of us. It is 16 degrees. Did I say sunset? I meant to say sunrise out there. It is 16 degrees Celsius here, which is 61 Fahrenheit. So it is quite chilly, but it's not too bad. It's enough to just put a jacket on and move through the bush. We also have James Hendry that's out there. So James and I were out yesterday, and for any confusion that anyone had, I basically had almost like a little bee in my ear last night. Not literally a bee in my ear, but it was a figurative one, and I couldn't get it out of my ear, and it was buzzing, and I couldn't hear anything on the comms. So I thought it would be best not to go out. But I went and had a really good sleep. I woke up this morning and it was gone, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me feel. To know that I can hear everything that I need to hear this morning in terms of an alarm call, a squirrel alarm call, because this morning Dave and I are quite excited to see if we can find something a little bit special for you guys this morning, whether it be a leopard, a cheetah, or some wild dogs. But look, as we go through here, we're starting to see it open up, and that beautiful sunrise is about to show itself to us. Some beautiful colors. You got some yellow, some dark blue already, some violet. And we've been up since quite early this morning going out because there was word that those painted wolves might be on the move out. So we thought we'd get up early and see if we can meet these creatures and see what they're up to, what they might be doing. Ooh. The survey is asking, how would you like to... So let me just turn this radio down. How would I describe the sunrise this morning? Dave, do you have any, describe the smell of that sunrise?
Very fresh.
Very fresh.
Yeah.
Dave says very fresh. I can't really describe like a taste to it or something, just fresh. Yeah, it's like really crispy. That's the best thing that I can say. A crispy sunrise. Survey. Here we go. Gonna watch out for that tree. Let's sit here for a bit, answer any of your questions that you might have this morning, and watch the sunrise over Quarantine, or Rebecca's. We're on Rebecca's Road at the moment. So we had an amazing day yesterday, or 2 days ago, where we saw Nkanyini, that female. I was exceptionally excited when VM and I were out there, and we also saw the eagle owl, which literally flew over my head and onto the tree just next to me. It was a very, very special sighting of that eagle owl. Very, very lucky. That's only the first time I've seen the eagle owl in action, and it sat on that pose, and we had some very interesting questions around how owls are and what their social structure is a bit like. And those eyes, very, very strong golden colored eyes of those eagle owls. So it was a potential that we might have seen one this morning, but it's starting to brighten up as the day begins. And it's quite nice to stop and listen to anything that might be happening around us. Dina says that she started a bird list with me on the 10th of April, and now she has 61 birds. Dina, that's hugely impressive. Well done. Have you been doing that with James as well? Because I don't have 61 birds. I've got a little less than that, but that's because I've been taking my time with them. So when I see them, I like to talk about them, the features of them, and learn a little bit more about that bird. As you know, I like to draw pictures, so I go home and that's just the way in which I learn. I like to draw the bird, draw the animal, and then write some facts about those animals. So I don't know if you like drawing, Dina. I think it's a really great way to try and interact with animals and get to know them a bit better. In the distance there, can you see those birds flying? Can you see that? Yeah, there we go. Beautiful shot there, Dave. Those look like 2 Egyptian geese, and you'll often see them flying in pairs. It's very cool when you see those. I live in Cape Town, and I have a couple of those Egyptian geese that circle my house and make quite a racket. Both the Egyptian goose and the hardy-dar sit outside my dad's room and our room and just make an incredible noise that wakes us up to the day. So it's a natural alarm clock, which is quite nice, but it's also quite annoying. Have a look at those colors. As you sit back on this, I have no idea what time of day it is. I think it's quite early in the morning. What is the smell that you can smell that you are looking when you see this? When you have a nice early morning, wherever you are in the world, what is that smell that you get? I think it's quite different wherever you are in the world. But as we wait for that sun to poke its head over the horizon, let's see how James is doing wherever he is on this property.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rust Bucket, which is driving along here the Philemon's cut line in search, hopefully, of leopard tracks. My name is James Henry. On camera today is VM, the only cameraman that I'm slightly taller than. We are on our way into the rising sun, and the plan this morning is to check for tracks of Karula and of Shadow. Now, Shadow we saw around here yesterday, but I'm pretty sure that she's south of our boundary looking for her little cubs, or looking after her little cubs. But we'll keep a slow eye along here. Anyway, and then we're going to head along the southern boundary and see if Karula hasn't crossed back onto Djuma. So, I'm sure Sam has explained all the administration of the morning to you. We are as live as Sam is, and in some... I'm not going to say that. And that means that you must talk to us, please. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or questions at wildearth.tv on the email. I've no doubt it's going to be a morning of wonderful discoveries. And if it isn't, it will be a morning of very pleasant trundling through what is one of the world's most beautiful wilderness areas. The northeastern corner of South Africa, the Kruger National Park, the western fringes thereof, Djuma Private Game Reserve, Arathusa to the west, and Cheetah Plains to the far east of that. If we do not find any sign of the dear Queen of Djuma, that is Karula, then we will head probably across to Cheetah Plains and see what we can find that end. There are many tracks of hippopotamus on the road, which is very odd, because we're nowhere near any water deep enough. And we had a question the other day when we were watching a hippo as to how far they can move at night. They move substantial distances, especially as it sort of dries out and the grazing gets further and further away from the water in which they live. They will move apparently up to 50 kilometers. So I suspect these chaps here, there are hippo tracks on the road here, I suspect they've gone all the way back to the Arathusa Dam. And that is probably about, from here, maybe 4 kilometers as the crow flies. So that's a pretty decent route. And of course, hippo do like to eat around the water in which they live, but obviously, as water becomes more concentrated, so the grazing around the water holes will become less and less, and they'll have to go further and further and further. Now, they're moving distances like this at this time of the year. Remember, we're about to hit May. Then by the time the dry season ends, probably around November this year, then these hippo are going to be moving really big distances if they're hoping to survive. I think we're in for a rough dry season, unless there's some very unseasonal winter rains, which I don't think that they're going to be. There aren't any predicted. Of course, long-term weather predictions are not really possible with any degree of accuracy, but certainly there doesn't seem to be that there's going to be any more rain during the rainy season, which has now ended. It is a gorgeous morning, probably about 16 degrees Celsius, 61 Fahrenheit, and it's very pleasant indeed. I know I have my woolly hat on, my beanie, but it's probably not that necessary. Certainly on the Ridgecrest areas where we are now, it is just a stunning temperature with a lovely warm breeze coming out of the troughs and drainage lines, and I think it's going to be a good morning. We're going to pop past Treehouse Waterhole, Lake Treehouse as I've taken to calling it, which of course if you haven't seen it before, it's not quite well, I mean, it doesn't remind one of Lake Michigan when you go past it. It reminds one more of a muddy puddle. The elephants have also been conspicuous by their absence over the last little while, and I'm not really sure why they do that. It's a great mystery to me why it is that the elephants are sometimes here for weeks at a time. They'll be around every bush and then they'll disappear. And sometimes you won't see them, you won't see one elephant for at least a week or two. And I suspect that they know something that we don't, that they are traveling to areas where there are probably blooms of nutritious plants, probably not different species from the ones that we have here, but they probably have subtle changes in their nutritional content. Perhaps it's that, I'm sure many of you will know, that trees are able to communicate with each other, perhaps not inter specifically, but certainly intraspecifically. They are able to produce pheromones that warn each other of attack. So maybe elephants come into an area for a while and the trees tell each other, well, watch out, the elephants are around, and over the course of, say, a week, all the tannins and chemical protection that the trees have start to increase, and then the elephants disappear and go and eat some leopard. What is that mess on her? It's Karula. Is it?
Looks like shadow.
Looks like shadow. There's a leopard back there, everyone. I thought Liam was about to tell me, he started speaking so loudly, I thought he was going to tell me how much he was enjoying my speech. Instead, he was about to hit me over the back of the head. So, do you think this is shadow?
It looks like it.
This is fantastic, fantastic news. All right, so let's follow her. I'm just going to quickly call her in on the radio. Station's located female leopard, mobile north up Savage's track towards Philemon's cutline. Animal is about 200 meters or 150 meters from Treehouse Dam. Isn't that lovely? Let's just give her a bit of space. I don't know what that station's located female leopard, mobile north up Savage's track 150 meters from Treehouse Dam. I don't know what that kind of muck here is on her neck. Please, yeah, go for it. See that muck on her neck there, Viampi? What do you think that is? Looks like maybe she's killed. Oh, she's probably been lying around the dam there, I guess. Go ahead. Affirmative, you'll be third station. I think if it is shadow, I think she's probably been eating, I think she probably has eaten. She looks a little fuller than she did yesterday. Viam, how are you able to tell that's shadow from what you saw?
Just colour and the face.
I think that's amazing. I've always been really bad at that. Oh, look. What a perfect morning sight this is. Just had a feeling we might find her today, after yesterday's wonderful sighting. She was sitting so regally yesterday. I don't want to try and get in front of her just yet, everyone. We'll have to make a big noise to go around her. So let's just follow her, and then when she gets onto the more open areas, we'll go around the front and we'll have a proper look at her face and see if it is indeed the wonderful shadow. Now, I just want to give you an idea of her size, everybody. She's a very normal-sized female leopard. She might be slightly taller than Karula. What do you think, Fiam? Not the same.
Yeah, plus minus.
And she's about the same size as I suppose it would be a very tall golden retriever. A very large golden retriever. No, she's a bit bigger than that. She's a bit taller than that. And I think it's just sometimes quite difficult for you to see, perhaps. All right, we're going to we'll follow off-road here. There is I think she's going to go around this way, maybe just take a shortcut through here. So let's go around a bit. Might go up onto that termite mound. Here we go. Oh, wow, we're going to get a hell of a picture. Hang on a sec, sorry, let me just move around here. How's that? Isn't that lovely? The sun's just about to peep up over the horizon. Yeah, she's definitely eaten, and you can see she's still lactating. So cool. So a dappled coat there. Look, back into she's stalking. She's stalking now. Look at her using this. Look at her using the termite mound as cover. You just sneak back a little bit. She spotted something there. Judy, you say she's on a mission. I think she's probably on a territorial marking mission and a mission to go back to her cubs. Look at her just sticking her head up over the top there like a sort of sniper, seeing what potential quarries there are lying in the bush there. Duiker, Steenbok maybe. I heard something just snapping a branch off in there. VMP, let's go. Go through here. Hold on, everybody. There's going to be a little bit of noise. We'll just keep an eye on her. She could disappear in seconds, of course. I just want to keep a bit of distance to make sure that we're not sort of going to flush or frighten anything that she might be trying to hunt. Watch your heads here, everyone. Watch your head, VMP. Chris and Lex, she's about to pop out onto Philemon's cut line just to the east of the junction Shabam. She's seen something, everyone. I'm just going to keep my distance. It looks to me like she's stalking something. Yeah, she has seen something. Guys, if you're coming from the eastern side, please come cautiously. She looks like she's spotted something in the bush on the northern side of the road. Copy that. I've got your audio. Just keep coming. Probably another 200 meters, and then just stand by. Just going to try and get them into position here so that they stop. They might get a nice view of her there. There, she's definitely stalking something. Oh, this is amazing. Let me just sneak forward. Chris, stand by there. She's coming up onto a termite mound in front of you. Now you'll see her head pop up over the termite mound. She's stalking something sort of between you and the termite mound. Sorry everyone, I'm afraid I can't get you a better picture of her face than that. There we go. Have you got a visual? It's about 100 meters in front of you on the termite mound, on the southern side of the road. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got the most wonderful view, but you're just sitting slightly higher than me, so you don't have a great view. Let me move a bit here. I'm going to go this way around so we don't smash anything. Oh, come on, Rusty, into reverse. Oh, into first. Say when, VMP.
And when?
Guys, I think she's given up on whatever it was, so please come forward if you want. Look at that, eh? Let me just quickly check with these powerful binoculars I've got. Yes, that's a little shadow. 3 spots left, 4 spots right. Now, that's, of course, to me, the best way to recognize a leopard. If you're VM or many others, you can tell just by looking at her face. But it is interesting how she does look very similar to her mother, I think. Much more so than saying Kanyeni does to either of them. What she spotted, why she's running like that. She may have spotted something off in the bush there. She's going to another sort of vantage point. I think there's a termite mound around where she's going. Let's just sit for a little while. We don't have to worry so much about staying with her because there are 2 other guys here who can help us now. I think it's Shadow. Oh, there she goes. That's beautiful. This new camera's fantastic. We can get good views from a really decent distance. Look, you see how she's dropped her back there, her shoulder sticking out. She spotted something in here. So we will keep our distance, everyone. Just to make sure there, I can see her moving through there. These 2 guys that we're with now, Lex and Chris, are highly, highly experienced. So they too will be very sensitive to her. very thick drainage line through here that we might not be able to get through if she goes in there. Okay. And everybody, I agree with you completely. I mean, isn't that the most beautiful sight in the early morning light? Okay. It's getting quite thick, and we want to try and drive as sensitively as possible, but we got to see her. I think she ate last night, though, you know. I think she looks fuller than she did when we saw her yesterday. So anybody who saw her yesterday, let me know if you think she looks a bit fuller. They are pointing off in this direction. VMB, you let me know if you want me to stop. Especially given that, you know, I'm not very good at spotting leopards, apparently, as we saw this morning. You got her?
Yeah.
Okay. Shannon, you say, does she look dumpy to me? Not dumpy, jumpy. Shannon, I don't think she looks jumpy, no. I think, you know, if she was jumpy, she wouldn't have been walking out in the open like that. She's walking out in the open, marking her territory. And remember, territorial marking becomes kind of a secondary thing when they've got youngsters.
12 o'clock, paying 1 o'clock.
Shall I wait here?
No, I don't have a visual.
Okay, I cannot see her, I'm afraid. And so Shannon, no, I think she's hunting. So we'll just, I mean, that's why we're not driving at her with a great sort of enthusiasm. But I don't think she's jumpy at all, Shannon, no. I think she's absolutely fine. And she looks fatter to me than she did last night. So maybe she ate a couple of scrub hairs. There she goes. She's just still stalking through the bush there. I don't know why she would have that mud on her unless she'd actively covered herself in it, because they are fastidiously clean. Can you see her there, Viam? I'm just going to give you a quick view of there. You can just see her. She is running now. And as Lex, I can hear him saying to his guest, she's not running from us. She's either smelt or heard something through there. You know, if she was running from us, she'd be looking behind her. She's sniffing the air in front and then running forward. And I wonder if there isn't maybe the smell of carrion. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she's picked up Karula scent. I can still see her tail there. Bud, you think she might be looking for her cubs? No, I don't think so, Bud, because those cubs are still under 2 months old. They won't, I mean, she'll know where she left them. So unless she's got some kind of amnesia, I'm pretty sure that's not what's going on here. Tail at 1 o'clock, everybody. You got it. So I think she's using her sense of smell extensively now.
Okay, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock there.
Yeah.
Oh dear, come on, Rusty. We'll see of him. We'll just push through here. Oh, it's very thick in here now, everyone. Anyway, if we lose her, at least we got an amazing view. But let's just keep trying. This is perfect leopard country if they're trying to stalk something. Of course, round about their height, they can just pop their heads up over the bushes and have a look and see what's going on around them. Not great if you're trying to follow them. Lex, any of you there? Just going to ask Lex if he can see her. Lex, have you got a visual there? She's over here. Sorry, I'm really struggling to hear on the radio today. Which side of you? Okay, she's on a termite mound just in front of Lex there. Let's ease our way around there. Well, ease through this lot. We're not going to do that with the VR rig there. Shannon, your question is a comfortable no. So you want to know if Karula or Shadow came across each other's cubs, would they kill them? No, I don't think they would at all. In fact, quite the opposite. There's often friendly interaction, and sometimes even, I mean, in a really amazingly rare occurrence, there was an adoption by a grandmother of her daughter's youngster. Spread the load a bit. So no, there wouldn't be that kind of anger. It's only the males that kill the cubs. I mean, I'm sure females have killed the cubs, but don't worry about this tree, it will jump up behind us. So Shannon, no. Infanticide is perpetrated by males of most mammal species, very seldom by females. You see her there, Bimpy? Let's see. Oh, she's walking. You got her? There she is. Fantastic. This camera does hold the picture really quite steady, doesn't it, Bim? I'm just going to try and get a little bit in front of her because she goes into this drainage. We're going to really struggle to follow her. Oh, this is wonderful. And Natasha, you're in Ontario and you're wondering whether she'll hunt more because of her cubs or less. Oh, look at her run. So rare you see a leopard run. Yes, she will to a certain extent because she has to. She has to try and feed them, obviously. I'm going to go straight down through here, Liam. Hold on, everybody. Oh. Was it farting, wasn't it? But Natasha, that's mainly because obviously she's on the top of the termite mound there. Oh, is she? No, that's a piece of termite mound. Dash. Can you see her anywhere? So she came down through here. I suspect she's already crossed the second drainage line. Oh, there she is, straight in front of us. Still moving down through the second drainage. Okay, so Natasha, she'll need to eat more because she is lactating, obviously, but at the same time, she can't necessarily afford to spend too much more time hunting because she needs to be looking after those little things. I don't know if we're going to get down through here. We are. There we go. Hold on, everyone. This drainage system is fairly extensive, but once we're up this side, we should be fine. Hold on. Watch your teeth, everybody. She's come up, down and up through there. We seem to have picked up some passengers. Right, now we'll just have to drive carefully through here, see if we can see her again. Now the one advantage, of course, of this little car versus the big ones that Lex and Chris are driving is that we are much more maneuverable. Okay, she spotted something west of us and shot after it. Copy that. Have you still got visual? Okay, copy. Will you let me know if you think I should stand by? So they can see her, everybody. They're the other side of the drainage there. She just shot after something to our left. No, negative. He said she came basically directly through where we are now. Ooh, big stump. So she was below the line of the drainage here, I think. A lot of So she's around here. This is where they saw her. Now I'm just going to open up the Game Drive comms, everyone, so that you can hear what I don't need to keep repeating. Let's try and find her for another minute, and then if we don't find her, we'll keep looking around here and we'll send you across to Sam so that you don't have to, sort of scrape your face on all of these bushes. It's unbelievable how a leopard is able to disappear.
She was running very fast, more or less where you are, heading east.
So you heard that from Lex. All right, everybody, let's go across to Sam. I'm not sure if we're going to see her again, but if we find her again, we will come back to you. Sam's got an elephant to show you, so let's go and find out from him.
Mr. Ellie in shot. Have a look at that big bull elephant that's just in front of us here. You can see that he's huge. Myself and Dave are just smelling that very, very dense smell of a big male bull. You can just see that size of that tusk over there. He is huge. And he's been walking down this main road the whole way. He's got quite a bit of traffic that's holding him up. But you can see on the road we're following this long zigzag line of his trunk going left to right to left to right. But I've just caught word that you have seen a shadow. How exciting, you've seen shadow in 2 days in a row, and she was stalking something, so that's very, very, very cool. This big Ellie seems to just be browsing on some of the vegetation just by the road here, but you can see he's also very cautious. He's not feeding at the moment. He notices the number of cars around him, so he's just trying to get a feel for everything. I think he's going to move off into the big thicket. That's what I would do, at least when there was a whole bunch of cars coming and looking at me. I'd definitely feel quite shy. You can just see that large backside of a big bull elephant. And that skin, can you get any closer, Dave, or was that? That's Max. So that skin you can see is quite, it looks like it's got quite a bit of mud on it, so he could have been resting in a mud wallow this morning in some water. But it is going to be a hot day today. Just sitting on around 16 or 17 degrees at the moment. So as the day progresses, it's going to get hotter, and this elephant will browse and graze where it can, and then head off to a nice big watering hole. Or potentially find a breeding herd, because he's all on his own here. Now we can have a great shot. Look at him. Look at that beautiful long trunk that's been playing on the floor there. It's very cool. He's put, look, you can see he's put his trunk on his tusk. That's a sign of that he's not happy, so that vehicle might be a little bit too close. There's a number of signs that an elephant will give you to tell you that you are invading his space. And so what's happening here is there's a car behind him and there's a car right in front of him. And another sign that they'll have, yep, he's smelling them. This is very interesting behavior to watch. And another bit of behavior that they will show is flare their ears. And you can see he's starting to play with his ears quite a bit there. The car is reversing down the road. So he's basically saying, this might be a road for cars, but I'm taking up the traffic this morning. Yep, you can clearly see he's got his trunk on his tusk. Have you seen that a few times before, Dave?
I have, yeah.
It's quite interesting to see how they do that. I think he's going to go off into this thicket now. He's definitely not a comfortable elephant. Ooh. Ooh, but maybe he stopped off at a good plant that he likes. That could be a flaky thorn acacia. I know that the ellies love to eat those, so maybe he spotted one and said, well, I'll give them some trouble a bit later after I've eaten some food. And he's listening. He stopped feeding now. Lynn is saying, I would not want to be that tracker sitting on the front seat. Lynn, I couldn't agree more. If I was that tracker, I would be up and to the back seat already. But no, Lynn, you know what? These trackers are very aware. Ooh, he's starting to come closer to them. Look at it, he's just literally racing them up the hill. He's literally racing that car all the way up the hill. Now he's not happy. He's probably going to go into that thicket. But Lynn, I was going to say that these trackers have had such great experience with the elephants out here, and they know kind of how they would react and how they behave and what's the best solution in terms of being with them. So he's very, very aware of the trackers out here. I'm just going to put my Ellie back on its mantelpiece. It's great to be reunited with Mr. Ellie. He found us that big bull elephant this morning. Didn't you, Mr. Ellie? He even wanted to try and join the breeding herd. But you can't do that because you're just a little wooden elephant. One day you might just grow into a big boy. So it's been an exciting morning already. So we're just going to let this vehicle come past. He's getting close, Mpo. He's getting close, eh? Yeah, but where the Ngala? Down there, but
Yeah?
is it?
I mean, any Ghana.
Oh no, I didn't see anything.
Okay. We're checking different Guma camps. Where's Guma now?
I'm not sure where they are. I was going to go look down by Sydney's Dam to see if there were any in Cornwall.
Oh, yeah. Now maybe check. But I checked from the gate, nothing crossed.
Nothing crossed. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mbo. All right. Let's get back on the road. So we've seen Lyle in Washington is wanting to know, is it quite easy to cross borders between South Africa, Botswana, and Mozambique? Lyle, I've only ever crossed the border at Mozambique, and it is fairly easy to get across. And I'm pretty sure it's fine to get into Namibia, Botswana, and all those places around South Africa. So it's not a problem. I think like sometimes they'll be quite strict in terms of checking what kind of some of your health details, because as you can imagine we do have some health risks as we go into different countries of Southern Africa. Oh, we've got look at the silhouette of that waterbuck that's just come out of the bush there. Hello. Welcome to the day. So it's quite clearly a female waterbuck. You can tell that because it doesn't have any horns. And it's just walking into that soft morning light, which is my favorite light, both this time of day and night time. The crepuscular, I think that's the name for it. Crepuscular times of the day are just the best times for me. So there was also a word that the wild dogs had crossed from Arethusa, which is on our left here, into our property, into Djuma. And so we're just looking for tracks, looking for anything that might show any signs of them. And that waterbuck walking quite slowly across this road kind of tells us that there probably aren't any wild dogs anywhere close to us at the moment. But I was having a chat to the other guide, and the Nkuhumas are said to probably be in Simbambili or on Arethusa. And he came to work this road to see if he can find any tracks of the lions. So what we're going to do is we're going to head towards the gate and then right down to Sydney's Dam and see if we can pick up on any tracks of the lions and potentially find them. If not, we'll make our way towards Buffelshoek and potentially find some buffaloes. We've had some amazing sightings of the large herd recently, and I always love looking at them. Charles Bell is wanting to know, are elephants really quite scared of mice, or is that a fable? Charles Bell, I think it is a fable. I've never seen an elephant get very scared of a mouse. Never. I've never ever heard of that, and I think it is a fable, but I don't want to be too presumptuous on that. It could very well have been, there could be an elephant out there that is very scared of a mouse. Maybe that mouse was tickling its feet. Who knows? That could be quite scary. We've got loads of hyena tracks that are going around here. Ooh, there's a squirrel on the tree. See, now the squirrels, have a look at this tree just to our right here. This is a marula tree, and we can tell It's a marula tree. I like to use the white dots on its bark to tell the difference. But I just saw a squirrel running around the tree then. It's that time of day on this soft morning light that the squirrels like to get into a position where it can just get a little bit of warmth, because it has been a cold, cold evening. I think the squirrel's feeling a little bit shy and doesn't really want to show himself on camera, which is okay. No problem. Over here. Anna Marie just made a comment saying, Sam, go find some wild dogs. All right. Just thought I'd show a little bit of that morning light on that tree, which I thought was really beautiful. And a nice squirrel. But I see what you say, Marie. I'll get out there. Find you some wild dogs. If not some wild dogs, we'll find some lions. But you know what, Anna Marie, you know what's really interesting? Is that finding wild dogs is pretty much most of the time when you are drive and you are looking at a squirrel down. Just wanted to say, often when you are at a sighting looking for animals, not looking for animals, you'll just be looking at something and a wild dog will just run past you. But while we have a little bit of bad signal and we're going through a rough patch, let's go and see how James is doing.
We've turned the engine off, everyone. We're now having a listen to see if we can't hear some birds that might be alarm calling. The leopard went running off east down the drainage line into the recently risen sun. And at the moment, there is no sound of alarmed birds. Lex and Chris are still looking around here, but isn't just astonishing the way a leopard is able to give us the slip like that. I'm in 350 minds as to which way to go from here. So we're going to pick one direction and head that way, and maybe we'll be lucky. I think we're going to head parallel with the drainage line onto the road, which is Zoe's road over there, and with any luck, Shadow will be coming out there. If she spotted something here, she may well have sort of had a chase. She did go running off, apparently, according to Lex, but her general direction will seem to be back up. She's marking territory, and then she sort of heading in that direction in general. So I think that's probably what we'll double back and do. Let me just fix up my microphone quickly, and then we'll go. Just enjoy the sounds this unbelievable morning. Perfect autumnal morning. There we go. Oh, hang on.
Chris, I think I am, yes.
Are they going to pull out of the area?
We're also going to do likewise.
Okay. So we're going to drive along here, see if we can't pick up something, and if we can't, then we'll pull up and see if we can go and find Karula. Oh, Sam's got something else good to show you. Let's go back to him.
So we didn't find wild dogs, but we found a hyena. If you could just see through this thicket there, can you get visual there?
Not quite.
Let me go this way. I know I can. So a hyena is just walking off into the distance there. We're not going to follow it up into that big, thick brush. But you know where we are? We are very close to the hyena den. So we were just walking and, well, not walking, we were driving. The hyena was walking very, very close to. I've got a feeling it's at the den, which is not far away from here, but we'll see. Maybe we can get another visual from this position. But hyenas, what's really interesting, you don't often find them outside the den. When you do, they've probably been traveling quite a long distance, looking to see if they can find any carrion or scavenge anything of the old carcasses that have been eaten overnight by the leopards and all that. So the hyena went down there. Ooh. See if we can see it down the road there. If not, I think it's best to just go straight to the den. Actually, let's just go and have a look, and then we can always go to the den straight away, because who knows what a hyena might bump into on the way home. That's what would be very exciting. So the den, I would say, is probably in that direction. So there's all the chance in the world that it's just walked through, which probably has. But to see it interact with another animal is fascinating. And I just love the way in which hyenas walk.
Okay, we're just probably going to leave this area, everyone. We're just driving parallel with the drainage line now. We're going to pop out onto Zoe's road, which is over here, and she might pop out there. Otherwise, as Liam, in his typically philosophical way, said, it's a great example of easy come, easy go. And so it was. So just to give you an idea, this is actually quite nice. We're pretty close to the road now, and this is an example of the catchment area. This is how these drainage lines begin. Lots and lots of these veins of sort of area where the water starts to drain into a depression. And so this is kind of the catchment area of this tributary that eventually becomes Philemon Dip, and then eventually becomes the Molwati, which in turn I think eventually becomes the Sand River, if I'm not mistaken. Marjorie, a nice question from you about whether or not a leopard, if it's already had a kill or got a kill, if it sees something else to kill, will it kill it? Yes, definitely. They are known to cache kills. They're known to keep a pantry of kills. So if they find something, they're eating it, and something else, and something else happens to walk by, then they will absolutely eat that or catch that thing, stash it in a tree, and maybe come back for it later. And they have to do that because many of their kills, of course, get stolen by other leopards. They get stolen by hyenas, lions. Just do one last dip through here. Here's another one of those veins of catchment. And Lou DeLion, you say we have enough bush attached to the vehicle for tonight. What have we got? Oh, so I can't see anything, everybody. I'm just blinded by the rising sun. You say, Lou DeLion, that we've got enough bush on this car in order to start the campfire this evening. I think we're absolutely right. As VM said, the VR rig is now completely camouflaged. That, everyone, is two yellow-billed hornbills, and hornbills love the rising sun. They love to sit in the first rays of the day and sing their little song, if you can call it that. And if we just sit and watch them for a little while, they might do that wonderful display that VM was trying to show you while I was waffling on. Here we go. They get each other into a bit of a frenzy, you see. Then they're quiet, they look a bit embarrassed. One of them looks at the other, sharpens its beak. And they'll hear others calling from just behind, but they'll start again, shaking their tails. Isn't that wonderful? Sort of bowing to each other. A morning dawn ritual. Hornbill yoga, if you like. Oh, only one doing the salute to the sun that time round. They can hear others, and I don't know if you can, but further to the west. Sharpen the beak, sharpen the beak. I don't know how close, tight in you can get on one of those beaks, but there's something quite interesting there that I noticed the other day, and I've never seen it before. Wonderful. Now, just look in there. You can see the beak is not quite flush. The lower mandible is not quite flush with the top mandible. There are little gaps and serrations. And those gaps and serrations, I'm pretty sure, are there for the same reason that we have teeth. I think I'm pretty sure that they're very sharp, and I think they help the bird to cut up the prey that it eats. And a hornbill like this will eat everything from fruits to small rodents and anything in between, including chameleons and lizards and other things like that. Off they go. That was very special. Okay, let's head back across to Sam. He's got some signal and still that hyena.
So we managed to find the hyena again. One of them seems to be injured and they're moving quite rapidly. So it's hard to keep up with them. But it's really interesting behavior to see it. I've got a feeling that it is two males. But let's just see if we can get another sight of them. There they are, I can see them. They're heading, they're smelling something and they're just going. They've just gone into that thicket. I'm going to try and meet them on the other side. There's a road that comes down here that will help us find them. It's been really interesting. We came in and we followed that one hyena, and when we were following it, let me just see if I can see it coming through here, because they are moving quite quickly, and it almost seems like one of them is chasing the other. But when we followed the one, we came back to the den, and once we were at the den, we saw, Dave, was it one of the ears were mangled?
Yeah,
One of the ears of the hyenas were quite badly mangled, and we normally just see the older female when we go into that den site. We don't normally see two big males or two big hyenas, which I couldn't really see, whether female or male. The cubs were nowhere to be seen. So I think there's been quite some interesting behavior over night time. Oh, so you have seen a hyena get into a fight before and see that hyena's ear was badly mangled. So that could very well be the hyena that's been injured. So Kirsty's updated and said that it was also a mangled foot and a mangled ear. So I'm just looking for this road, but it looks like we're going quite far. Let's see if it's not here, we're going to go back and see if we can locate, because they might be coming back up onto the road. Hyenas like to follow the roads. I mean, you just find hyena tracks everywhere. So I'm going to turn around at the top there in case the road doesn't cut in. But watching active hyenas can be quite a lot of fun sometimes. So we're going to go back and see if maybe they've come back onto that road. There's every chance that they are back. much like following wild dogs. I mean, it's not a wild dog this morning, but it's hyenas, and they are very, very active. Okay, so we're going to pay attention. We're going to see if we can see them walking through the brush here. But the sun is directly in our eyes, so it's not as easy as it might seem. But anything can happen. We just don't know where it will happen and how it will happen. So hyenas will often go to kills where leopards have been and just sit underneath a tree there until they can get some food. And they'll harass leopards until they get some food. But they can get into some big fights overnight. Chris Rogue says that she is very, very interested in seeing which hyenas it is. I hope we can find it, Chris. Or them. Because they went straight into the thicket here, and it's really, really hard to find those hyenas when they've gone into this thicket. But so what we'll do is we'll go back towards the den site. Maybe they've both come back. If they haven't both come back, we'll continue back down this road and see if their tracks come out on Vuyatela main access. That would be our best chance of seeing them, Chris. Megan and Ottawa want to know if the hyenas are vocalizing at all. Megan, we haven't heard any sounds. Did you hear anything? I know that I've had some problems with my hearing lately, so I could have very well missed any sounds that have been played. I'm just going to have a look up here. We're going to listen as hard as we can to see if we can hear anything going on. This is so we were at two different dens. This is the one den that we normally come to. Where I've often seen the hyenas and the cubs, so let's just have a look and see if there's anything going on over here. So it looks quite inactive from this side. It looks very inactive, sorry, from this side. So we'll see if we can loop around and try and listen to any activity. While we're looking around and seeing if we can find these hyenas again, let's go see what James is doing.
All right, we're back to the deja vu. We're coming down the same road. We're about to turn onto Treehouse Dam Road, at least on the Savage's track, heading towards Treehouse Dam, and we'll see if there isn't something else down there. It's now a little bit warmer than it was when we started out, probably by about 3 degrees. I'm sure that leopard is still in there, but I just figured that we had such a nice view of her that to kind of keep going through there would A, disturb her, and B, it would just be a lot of unnecessary bashing about for an animal we'd already had a wonderful sight of. So we're going to go and check to see if we can't see Karula down in the south. Turn off the engine and we can roll down here on Rusty's arthritic joints. Now, Leopold, you've asked an ecological inquiry. Oh, I can't wait till we have an electric vehicle. This is what it'll sound like all the time. Won't that be amazing? Leopold, you want to know if the animal population of this area, and I can talk quietly all the time, is increasing or decreasing. Leopold, it's not really as simple as that, I'm afraid. It is much more to do with what we call a dynamic equilibrium. I would say, on the whole, the ecosystem in this area is healthy. So there are no crashes and here's where we saw shadow. There are no crashes or explosions of different species, but the numbers go up and they go down, and they go up and they go down. And so you have this situation where if you think of two populations of animals, if you think perhaps of a population of leopards and a population of steenbok, let's pretend that they were the only prey and predator species in the area, you have a situation where as the springbok numbers increase, so the numbers of leopard will increase with them. And then as the numbers of leopard get too many, so the number of steenbok will decline. And then the number of leopards will decline with them. So that's a very kind of simplistic look at a dynamic equilibrium. And now obviously the interactions between all the species in this area are a lot more complicated than just the steenbok and the leopard. And so it's a kind of mishmash of numbers going up and down and up and down, from the very smallest insect up to the elephants. And if we look at that dynamic equilibrium as a whole, then yes, I'd say everything is stable, and I'd think everything is in health. So there's no real obvious increase or decrease. Sorry, there's just there are some birds alarm calling here. Going fish, fish. Might be a snake. Just look in that tree there, VMP. I wonder if there isn't a boomslang or something in there. It might be a starling's nest. Anyway, we'll have a quick squiz around here, see what's going on. While we're doing that, head across to Sam and his hyena.
So the hyena's just gone. We've just found the hyena again, and now it's gone into the thicket. Let's see if we can. So one of them came back.
Hold it, I got it.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Just moved off.
It's going to go over here to see. It is a very interesting behavior that's going on here at the moment. Let's just stop for 10 seconds to see if we can hear anything or see anything. So the hyena just literally ran straight past us, back up the road and into this block now, and left the other one. So we had two not so long ago, and now we've had one that's run up here. She came and smelt around here and ran away. So what I think has happened, there's another den that's just about a minute away from here. So we're going to go see if maybe she's gone back to see if her cubs are okay or anything like that. You can't see anything down there, Dave? Was it the mobile paddy? Dave just said that it was the left ear that he saw that was mangled, because I never saw the mangled ear. Dave said he saw it. So I don't know if that helps you at all, mobile paddy. But they are moving quicker than what wild dogs would move. It's very interesting behavior going on over here this morning. Maybe the other one will start running up here now. Okay, let's have one last look down there. Nothing down there, okay? Okay, let's go check the other den again. never seen hyenas act like this before. Very, very new thing. Most of the time when we come towards the dens in the morning, they're just sitting there relaxing with the cubs. This morning it's been active. They've been doing all sorts of things out there. And I think this antenna is getting very close to my eye, which is not very nice. I'm going to move that in a second. Okay, so we went to one den here, and that's where we normally see the female with the cubs. But we just saw them by this other den. They could very well be there. But it's just one of them, so the other one has gone missing. Trying to think what on earth is going on here. There's the path they walked down. I can't see at the moment any of them. Megan in Ottawa is asking, have I ever seen the inside of a hyena den? And that's the hyena den right over here. We can see it's inside that termite mound. Megan, I haven't done that before, purely because it's not a very clever thing to do, in the sense that, you know, even if there are no hyenas that are down there, and the hyenas have exceptionally strong jaws, so if you get anywhere close or you push a hyena into a space where it feels uncomfortable, you know, it's got its jaws that it uses as defense, and so that's always dangerous. But inside hyena dens, or otherwise known as old termite mounds, you can find other animals such as aardvark and porcupine. And as you know, the porcupine isn't the most comfortable animal to come across in terms of spikiness. So I don't really want to get a porcupine quill in the eye. And potentially one day I might just have the courage to go and look down hyena den. So it ran in this direction. Just going to check down here for anything, any tracks, any running hyena. They're running all over the place, so might as well have a look. Ran in this direction through here. Trying to hear if I can hear any sounds of that hyena. I feel like there's action going on, and I'm just not sure which way to go in terms of that action. It's either going to be straight down here or back towards where we've seen. And my gut feeling says, Sam, turn around, go back past the dens, and go back to where the other one was. So as I said, there were two. The one came back, ran straight past the den, and the other one is still on its way, or was on the route towards Vuyatela access. So if we go and drive Gallagher shortcut again, we might just bump back into one of those hyenas. What's interesting, we went and sat by both the dens now twice this morning, and I didn't see not even a whiff of the cubs. Don't seem to be anywhere around. But Mobile Paddy, you were asking about what ear it was, and I think Dave said it was the left ear. Is that right, Dave? Mobile Paddy, what do you know about the ears? Or Chris, I know that you know quite a bit about these hyenas. Do you know whether it was the left or the right ear? All right, here we go. We found them again. They're fighting with each other. You can see the jaw was quite clearly open. Wow, that was great. They're now heading back into the block. They're running down. You can't see them now, they've gone. Okay, that was cool. That was very cool to see that again. I'd love to know what is going on and why they're behaving like this. Okay, I can see one of them walking back, yes. There's something in its mouth. There is something in its mouth.
Pardon?
Is it a stick?
Doesn't look like it.
What is that? Oh, it's not a stick. Most definitely not a stick. It looks like it could be the leg of something. Looks like a foot, that's exactly it. It is a foot of an impala or something, so there must be a kill. Just up here, here's the other one. Just gonna walk right past our vehicle. There they go. So, is that the one with the mangled? Good thing we turned around. My gut feeling was right. I just felt like they were close by. Let's get back to that den now that we know where both of them are. We can watch what they do with that foot. Maybe they'll feed. Violet is asking, can hyenas climb trees? Violet, no, they can't climb trees. That's what makes the leopard getaway so effective, is that the leopard can get a kill and go up a tree. But sometimes the leopard doesn't pull that carcass upright enough. Okay, we're going to come around, and the hyena can jump. Okay, we've now got a great visual of both of them. It's really difficult to tell the difference between hyenas. Go close to the head of that, and maybe we can see. Thanks, Dave. It looks like there is a little bit of blood, but when we just came across them, we saw that they were fighting with one another. There, on the side of that, you can also see a little bit of blood. This hyena over here, just in front of our vehicle, is feeling, I think, a little bit more unrelaxed than the other one. I was saying a little bit earlier that it's difficult to tell the difference between hyenas because they have very similar looking genitalia, which I'll show you just now in the book when we lose them. But there we go. Now we can see exactly what an hyena is eating. It looks to be a foot. Wow. There's clearly some blood on that hyena's face. So potentially it had to get into quite a fight to get this foot. So there's been a report that there were 7 hyenas at Buffelshoek on a carcass there. So we might have just come across 2 of them that came back with some of the remains. Oh, the cub's out. There we go. Awesome. So this hyena could very well have gone and fetched some food. Let's see if it allows it to eat some. Oh, the other one just poked. Oh, that was so cool. The other hyena, let's not forget, is right in front of my vehicle. I don't even know if you can see him. Can you see him from there? Just his fur. There it goes. Very, very interesting behavior. Let's go back and see. There's 3 that's come out now. That's so cool. Is she gonna let? So that's the female, as we can see. She looks either really full, like she's just eaten, or that she looks pregnant again, but I think that she is very full, because we did hear a report that they had been feeding. There we go, so it looks like the cubs might just get a share in this nice snack. Have a look at this hyena scraping the ground in front of us. Sorry. I can't quite see it, but he's just been scratching the ground. But let's go back to those hyena. You can now quite clearly see the bone on that leg, and now we've got all the cubs that are out. Leopold's asking, do I think hyenas can survive in urban settings, much like raccoons? I don't, in Africa, I'm sure there are situations where hyenas are living very, very close to the urban landscapes, and they do survive well enough. Every animal will do its best in any situation to adapt to its environment. So I do think that they would be able to survive in some areas close to urban landscapes. They're highly, highly adaptive animals, hyenas. As I said, they can travel very, very far to smell food out. So I can imagine we in camp have problems with the hyenas. The hyenas come into our camps and they destroy our bins if we leave them out at night. So sometimes we wake up to garbage everywhere. Look at all. I'm going to keep quiet because you can really hear the sound of the bones breaking. Ooh. That was so interesting. Did you notice how that little cub tried to get a little snack from that meal and was left with nothing? Here it is right here. The cubs are now climbing all over the mound, watching this female as it moves. They're going to follow her. Interesting, she looks so full. She has eaten her load. Why isn't she sharing some with these cubs? So the cubs are just moving around her slowly, being very, very cautious of anything that they're doing. We are literally in the thick of things here, everyone. God, cubs are running all around us. Brian is asking, how long will the hyenas stay in this termite mound? Brian, they can stay until the young cubs get to a good age where they're able to be independent and move to new clans. They mainly just den when they have cubs. But there is a very strong smell. Can you smell that, Dave? So, Brian, they will swap termite mounds quite often. And what's very, very similar to some monkeys is that hyenas are the longest to be weaned off. So the weaning period is over a year. It's about a year. But even afterwards, what's going on here? All the cubs are getting back into the den. She is so full. You've seen quite a lot of aggression this morning. We've seen loads of it. And the thing that I can't quite get out of my mind is the size of this hyena and how it's not sharing any of its kill. Because often you'll find a female will go and find kill and bring it back to the cub, so they're potentially getting to that age now where they need to go and start scavenging on their own. Because nothing is being shared. You can hear the sound of that bone crack. This cub's got close to its mother again to see if something happens. Harvick has noticed that there is not much sharing going on here. No, Harvick, there seems to be zero sharing going on here. And these little cubs look so hungry. But just going back quickly to what I was saying, is that it's really interesting. Much like some monkey species, hyena cubs will be the longest to be weaned off, and sometimes staying on with their mothers for a lot longer. So the mother's now off now. You can see she's heading off. And there's some scraps that are being left behind. So the mother's gone. Oh, she is so full. She's just trotting down that road. There goes what seems to be a male that is following her. So they could be going back to a kill or something, because that's where they came back with. They didn't have that impala foot in their mouth, and they're now heading back in that direction after they've just finished that. And did they leave anything for these youngsters? I don't think they did. I think they might have left something really, really small, but if they did, it is gone. It is gone. They are smelling to see if there's any remains left of that impala leg. We're going to sit here with these cubs just for a little bit to see how they act now that the adults are gone. And my feelings are that the adults have moved back onto the road now that leg's finished, to go see if they can get something else. It's been an incredible morning with these hyenas. It all started with us just coming across this hyena sprinting past our car. But these cubs have grown quite significantly, even just since I've been here, which is only 1 month. Mr. Clan Channel wants to know, when do hyenas hunt? Well, Mr. Clan Channel, hyenas hunt at various times, but they are mainly scavengers. So as we saw now, we saw that impala leg, that could have been scavenged from a kill that a lion or a leopard made. But it also could have potentially been done with a group of hyenas. And we heard earlier that there were 7 hyenas seen at Buffelshoek. So a large group of hyenas has the ability to hunt down an impala. So my guess is that impala leg was scavenged, but there is a big chance that that leg could have been from a kill that they made as a group last night. And I did hear the sounds of hyenas as I was sleeping last night. Are you hungry, little man? Or woman? I'm not sure if it's a male or a female. So these were the cubs that were born in November and December. I think it was 2 in November. 1 in November, 1 November, 2 December, 2 January. So that's that. That's what that reading is. 1 November, 2 December, 2 in January. And these are the cubs that we are looking at now. We just saw them run into the termite mound now. I'm wondering what they heard. One is bold enough to stand outside and see what's going on. Let's see the behavior of this hyena. It's smelling the area in which the mother was eating that impala leg. And I think it's really trying to do what it knows best, is scavenge any remains of that leg. And there's quite a bit of competition between cubs because they'll look to try and get the most amount of food possible. Ooh, here comes another hyena. That isn't the same hyena that we just saw, because we saw 2 of them go down that road, hey Dave? And now this one just came in from over here, so this is very interesting. Interesting, they're smelling each other. It seems that they're smelling and licking the genitalia area, and that could be either I'm not sure what that means. I think that could be either a sign of affection or a greeting. What is going on? So let's have a look at this one. Yeah, so whether it's a female or male, it is smelling those tracks of that lost hyena, trying to figure out maybe what has just happened here. It's incredible to see this because it can show us how powerful their smell ability is. It's almost like it's investigating. Oh, there seems to be a cut on the side of its face. What are you up to? So the cubs are now coming a little bit closer. 2 of them are back out the hole. See how she greets. There we go. They're going in for the greeting, just like we saw the last time. This is incredible to watch. So they're going to greet all of them. Because you can see the other one now that hasn't been greeted is interested in saying hello. What might be quite interesting, if those 2 hyenas do come back to the den, the adults that we saw earlier, how is it going to react to this adult here? These very well may be the adults that were up at Buffelshoek in the report that we just heard. It's not often you get to spend time with hyenas and see behavior like this. Normally we're just sitting next to their den watching the cubs play. But this seems to be a whole other story that's unfolded before us. There's lots of smelling. Cubs look definitely not as relaxed as I've normally seen them. There goes the other one. just been walking around the den site. So the cub that we were just looking at is most probably a January cub. One born not so long ago. It's the end of April now, so 4 months old. They all look to be in good condition, but you can see a size difference in them. So if we look at those ones there, the one just in front of that bigger one, and the one behind that could potentially be the two Januaries, and the one on top of that mound could very well be the one born in November. So there was one in November, 2 in December. That would be my guess. Those two on the right, the one in front and the one next to it to the right, the January cubs. The one that lay down is the November cub, and the one just behind that is potentially the December cub. So things have relaxed quite substantially now with the cubs. I'm getting awfully hot in my jacket. It's been such a morning with these hyenas. But that elder adult has now left this den site. So what will be interesting now is to see if they come back and what they will do. Will they come back with something a little more? Will they share if it is a little more? And how will those adults react and behave with one another? Those are the questions that are on my mind. While these cubs are flat, let's see how James is doing.
You will not believe it, everybody, but we have very fresh tracks of Karula and the two cubs coming here into this area. And I mean, we did a brief foray through there on foot to see if we can find anything, but we haven't come up with anything. We did see the tracks, though, I think, heading down towards these areas. So, you know, there is some pretty good shelter in the drainage areas from here. We'll just drive slowly along the road, see if we can't pick anything up. Sorry, the flies are out in force now, obviously. Very nice that you've had that time with the hyenas. Apparently they lifted an impala from Shiluva in Buffelshoek, and that's the remains of which you saw being played with over there. 7 of them were found pilfering the hapless leopard's kill this morning. So no more tracks on the road here. They were originally spotted by my great tracker Viam, and I think that she's headed off into the drainage here, and I think our best approach is going to be to go back to the Mulwati and drive up the Mulwati and see if we can't spot anything here. Let's just give Chris an update, and then we'll keep you posted. Hello everybody, good morning. We've had them basically going straight onto Leadwood, and they come along here, and then I think they head east into the drainage. Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, north into the drainage. I don't know what you want to do. I'm thinking of driving up the Mulwati. Why don't you do that then? I'll go around Mumba Road. And I'll,
sure?
Yeah.
We'll just Peter up the Mulwati and see if we don't.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe then we come back here.
Cool. Okay. Alrighty.
Nice
Enjoy. Good luck.
Driven straight over those tracks then.
I think 35 people have driven up and down the road during the day.
Just bye.
And so that's Chris. He's driving out of Vuyatela. And in case you're wondering, I mean, Taxon and Aubrey are the kind of regular guides that drive out of Vuyatela and Gallagher. But sometimes Lex and Chris come in with their private guests and they do drives from there. It's one of the nice things about Vuyatela and Arathusa, or at least Vuyatela and Gallagher, that you can bring in private guiding. Now, Brenda in Virginia, you are wondering if the cubs ever drink water. Do they go to the pans? Will Shadow and Karula take their cubs to the pans? No, not Shadow. Certainly Karula will start to. Remember, those cubs are going to be 2 months old, at least 3 months old, on Tuesday, I think, next week. Tuesday, Wednesday. And by then they're going to be almost weaned, which means that their water requirements, and those of a leopard are very low, but their water requirements are going to have to be met by actually drinking water and not by milk anymore. So the short answer to that is, as long as they're suckling, they won't be drinking water. But now, as that weaning process completes itself, so they will have to drink increasing amounts of water. Leopards are, interestingly, almost completely independent of water, and they can get sufficient moisture from their kills, which is quite interesting. And so that means that they can live in desert regions where many other animals can't. So, for example, they do live in the deserts of Arabia. We get I think it's called the Iranian and the Arabian subspecies of the same leopard we get here. They'll live all the way into the Kalahari, up into some parts of the Namib Desert. So they really are very good. As long as they've got food to eat, they can survive almost without water. Drive a little bit quicker, because Chris has covered this area, and we'll come down Mumba Road. Mumba Road, of course, was the site of my first meeting with Karula. All right, Sam is on fire this morning. He's got a warthog to show you.
So we are now with some warthogs, really not close, or not far rather, from the hyena den. Just going to get into a position where we can see them a bit better. That antenna, let me move that. Look at the youngsters. So there's a female, with a large female with its 2 piglets. And the hyenas, those big adult hyenas, are not far away. We were just having a conversation, myself and Dave, trying to figure out, that hyena was so full. It was so full. There's the mother, just to the right here. He's going, no, what is, let me just, it's quite interesting, is this warthog, these warthogs are going literally to the hyena den. Who knows what else might happen this morning. We're going to be very quiet and try and come from a distance, because we give ourselves away.
Just hold it.
There they are. There's the warthog and the 2 things, and just to the right there's the termite mound where the hyenas are. So let's just see if there's any interaction. Maybe the cubs will come out. Maybe we'll see something happen. Who knows? Where are those adult hyenas? Who knows? All we can do is just be in the middle. I don't want to scare them off. Try and minimize our influence as best as possible. There we go. Right on the foot of that termite mound, and to the right, the cubs are just there. I think they've smelt something. As you know, warthogs will every now and then use, or they do use, termite mounds as well as hyenas to den in, and a warthog will go in backwards so that its horns are facing outwards. So if there's any predator that tries to attack or try and collect a warthog in its den, you can ram it with its little tusks. Do you call them tusks or horns? Tusks, sorry, not horns. There's just so much, too much stuff going on. Now they're walking around the den. This is very interesting. The cubs are right here. Look, and these warthogs are very relaxed with us at the moment. So they're now walking away from the den side. It seems that the cubs didn't pay much attention, or are in their holes, quite afraid, because the the adult hyenas are not here at the moment. They ran off into the thicket. So there go the little piglets, just out into that brush thicket there. What an interesting little interaction we had with you. So they're off, and there's the hyena den right over there. And we've got a vehicle behind us, so just hold on. Hi there. How's it going? Good, good. Sam.
Sam, I'm Lex.
Nice to meet you, Lex.
How are you, Sam?
Yeah, very, very, very good. We've just had quite an interesting encounter with the hyenas. Yeah, they came out of here. The one female was looking very, very full, and she came in here with an impala leg in her mouth. And the cubs are here, but they're stuck inside the den. And there's been quite a bit of interaction between one of the adults and the female, not sharing anything. She is huge. She looks like she's about to turn into a balloon.
Did you hear that the one leopard's got a kill in Buffalo?
Yeah, so...
Shaluva, and there were 7 hyenas taking the kill from her this morning.
Okay. So, sorry about that. We were just quickly chatting about what is going on out there. We're going to go and see if we can find those hyenas and anything else that might be happening. Potentially those hyenas will come back to this area. But we've just had reports that there are things happening up at Buffelshoek, so we might just make our way there to see what happens. With that, let's go and see how James is doing.
Hello everyone, hello. We have come down to the opposite end of where I last saw you. So we were just over there to the east, oh no, that's the south, Henry. To the south of where we are now. And we're just thinking that, let me just give you an idea of what's going on. So you can see we're going down in towards a drainage line here. That's the big Mulwati drainage. And it's fed by a number of small streams. And I love the word stream. Unfortunately, in this case, doesn't imply trickling water and babbling brook, but smaller drainage lines that feed it off to the south of the road. And she was about, I'd say, about half a mile maybe, probably less than that, and between maybe a third of a mile across that way on Leadwood Road, and the tracks go down towards this area, I think. And so Chris is driving up the drainage like that, and we're going to go down and back across there. We'll see what we come up with. Some of those tracks, though, were, I think, very, very fresh. I'm not a tracking genius by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that they were fresh. They were very distinct, especially the little cub ones, and I'm amazed again at the size of them. The tracks are already the size of a serval track or even a caracal track. We also had tracks of Tingana, or certainly a big male, going up Twin Dams Road. So, I mean, their prospects are good, but as you well know, I mean, we had the leopard this morning, we managed to lose her, so it is a little bit of a lottery with these fellows, the leopardos. We're just going to very gently ease our way through here. Listen out for alarm calls, maybe squirrels going, rattling testiculars going. Now, Blair, you are asked a very intelligent question there from British Columbia, and your question is about electric cars. And do I not think that they might be a bad idea because they'd be so quiet, and we'd almost have to rehabituate animals to them. I think that there would certainly be a period of adjustment, Blair, absolutely. I think, however, that period of adjustment would happen quite quickly. And I think we'd also have to make sure that we didn't, like you say, surprise animals. We'd have to be very careful about making sure that animals knew we were coming. And we'd do that by, I suppose, just talking. I think they'd hear us to a large extent. Hang on a second. At the radio.
We were early this morning. Shaluva's moved off. the hyenas have actually finished
No,
the
nothing.
whole kill.
But isn't this a lovely morning?
If there's anything left at the moment.
So we're going to turn south down the drainage now, and we'll see if we can find anything there. Of course, many people are very confused by the term drainage line, and it's a river. It's like this. This is a river. But I always feel that to use the term river to describe this sort of dry river bed, well, it implies an enormous amount more moisture than there actually is. So drainage line is the term we use. Okay there, VMP? So she's in this block somewhere, I think, unless she's come across here. It's not impossible. We may bump into her on the road. But she's obviously left the kill site where she had those impala, or that impala. The temperature's warmed up nicely. It's probably sitting at about 23 or 24 degrees Celsius now. And you ask a very nice question. We were talking about the water dependence of those leopards, and you want to know if all the cats are water independent. No, they're not. Lions will need to drink more than leopards. They're not as dependent on water as we are, for example, but lions do need to drink. I would imagine tigers, which live in very moist environments, have to drink quite a lot more than the others. Cheetahs are pretty water independent. They can live in desert regions very successfully. And I think you'll find that hyena, although they're not strictly cats, well, they're not even loosely cats, but I think you'll find that they too need to drink a lot more water, the spotted hyena does, versus something like a brown hyena. So often, you know, the sort of dominant predators, like lions and hyenas, they need water, but the less dominant ones have adapted to live in more sort of marginal environments, which is quite clever. Wild dogs, definitely very dependent on water, but they do eat a massive amount of meat. And of course, we are, 75 to 90% water. So any mammal that they eat, especially if it's fresh, there's going to be a huge amount of H2O within the carcass. There's a lovely little boat ride we're going on now. Leopard boat ride. And I am hoping, of course, to find them just playing gently in the sun here. Katrina, you want to know if we get bloodwood here? I don't know what bloodwood is. Do you know what bloodwood is, Jim?
No.
I don't know. We've got lots of wood that has kind of... I feel like I've heard of it before, but it may be from the Game of Thrones that I'm thinking. A tree that looks like a sap is blood. I don't think we do. There's certainly nothing that I know of that's known as a bloodwood here. Sounds like a tree you might get in the Game of Thrones. There's some fairly angry sounding babblers. And apparently also called cardinal wood, which we definitely don't get here. Thank you, Katrina, but I'd love to know where you do get it. So I think the tracks were heading from down there towards here. And apparently the cardinal wood is found in South America. Thank you very much. So pretty in here. Oh, there's a nyala. He doesn't look particularly terrified by life, does he, Liam? He does look like he's doing his dance with perhaps another male nyala. That's why his hair is standing up like that. If he was alarmed, he'd be going, wow, wow, wow. But he's doing his dressage pas de deux, no doubt, with another male nyala somewhere close by. Isn't that amazing? I find this fascinating to watch every time I see it. Believe it or not, everybody, for those of you who haven't seen this before, that nyala is trying to show his dominance to other nyala. quite fun, isn't it? There's the other one. You can just see his horns sticking out through the back there. So they try and avoid having sort of physical conflict, but I have seen them having an unbelievable fight at one stage. Just go around them. They, of course, are prime targets now for a cat because they're not concentrating on watching out for things that might want to eat them. I can see Chris up ahead there. Here, we'll get a nice view of the other Nyala here. Chris is just off on foot, seeing what he can see. Sorry, just dealing with the radio again. It's very busy at the moment on the reserve because we have a number of what we call public holidays, what you in the UK would call a bank holiday. And so the radio is busier than it would be normally. And these two chaps are just sort of facing off against each other, deciding if it's worth having a physical conflict. The most vicious antelope fight I've ever seen was between two Nyala, just outside the final control. We had a wonderful sighting of it. It was live. And I think that the reason they do this elaborate kind of ridiculous looking dressage dance is because the fight is so vicious that if they decide to go down the road of physical conflict, the chances of one of them being impaled and killed is very high. Certainly my favorite antelope by some margin. And there is a clip apparently on Facebook, probably on our Safari Live page, which will show you the incredible, vicious, dusty fight that those impala had. Like two fences with their foils sort of dancing in the light. It was an absolutely astounding sighting. I've never seen Nyala have a fight before that. Anyway, these guys seem to have calmed down. Let's continue on our little search. Monkey Man, I agree with you completely. You say you love being in these drainage lines. It makes you feel like you're in some sort of sacred grove. That's precisely how I feel. I could sit, often on the days when I'm supposed to be tracking, I'll come and sit in a drainage line like this and read about some different wonder of the bush. Let's get an update from Chris.
What's going on at Buffalo today?
I think Tingana Buffalo's Hook Dam.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's
Hang on, everybody.
confused.
I think it's Big Dam.
We know of it, Dam.
Right, there we go. Okay. Phew.
No visible sign coming down.
No, I'm sure she's in here somewhere. Did you see the tracks on the road there?
I saw them on the road,
Coming in here.
and yeah, all on the left-hand side. So I just walked on this little path just to see they hadn't come down or something. And there's lots of monkey, everything else, but not.
Okay, did you see monkeys in there?
Didn't see monkeys.
Okay, but
just
tracks. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So are we going up?
We might do a bit of a loop around again. Yeah,
Okay.
and come through. Yeah.
I'll try and have a look at this broken dam.
Okay.
or
Okay.
see if
Okay. Cool.
maybe we get.
All right. Maybe we get lucky. Okay.
Yeah, cheers,
See you just
guys.
now.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah.
This will be so exciting. Yeah, I think we should we try it? Chris, we'll try this old track up here. Okay, everybody. Chris, apparently there's an old track through here. We'll just drive that track quick. Not sure how official this track is. There is a track. This is, of course, is where we had our sighting of Mvula during Big Cat Week. How close are we to the cliff face there?
A few meters.
A few meters? You mean I don't have to drive over this Tambuti tree?
You're right.
That's a relief. That's called drive by feel, everybody, where you drive and when you hit something, then you stop. And Amélie, you are a new viewer. Ooh. And you ask a lovely question. How old is the oldest animal in the park? Well, Amélie, the thing about this park is that it is 8 million acres. And that means that for us to know the ages of all the animals here is almost impossible. Well, in fact, it's completely impossible. But luckily, the longest living or oldest animal potentially in this area is an elephant. And the very old elephants, because of the number of tourists in the park, we are often able to, we often know them individually. And so I would say the oldest animal in the park is probably an elephant sort of around 55 to 60 years of age. How's that? You know what? I'm talking rubbish. That would be the oldest mammal. I bet that there are many older crocodiles. They will live over 100 years, and probably even some older leopard tortoises. Some of those leopard tortoises apparently will live up to 200 years old. So those would be the oldest. So we're just doing a little drive through here on an old track that runs along the sort of parallel with this drainage line up towards Leadwood Road. Okay. Now, we also had tracks of a male leopard going up through this area, and I think that was probably Tingana. Tingana, for those of you who are new viewers, is our sort of dominant male leopard of this area, and he is 11. No, he's not, he's 9. I'll drive our leopard fans into apoplexy if I give him 2 years he isn't due. So this is the kind of grove of trees that you might see a leopard in, sort of lurking under the shade, the youngsters playing with the mum. We walked through here the other day. It's a very, very beautiful area. And it's the ideal sort of spot for a leopardess to keep her little babies. Anyway, we'll just keep going. This track is kind of petering out, so we don't want to make too much on the way of a new road unless we have a confirmed sighting. So we may go back out onto the drainage, into the drainage line and back around to the original tracks. Oh, it would be so nice to see those little ones again. And for those of you, I don't know how many of you who have been watching have seen the cubs before, but we had the most fantastic sighting of them the other day, Viam and I. And they are very, very special. So I hope fervently that we manage to find them for you again this morning. Oh, let's head across to Sam. He's got a big beefy.
From hyenas to warthogs to finally a big, big male buffalo that is sitting right next to the road on our way to Buffelshoek Dam. He's sitting in the Mawati drainage, so we're very, 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 very low down at the moment. And they are like these drainages because the grass is quite thick, the leaves are quite in a great number, and they'll just be grazing and browsing this morning. These old dagger boys. There we go, you can see he's just taking a big chunk of grass there. So we're going to let this buffalo just enjoy himself down here, as it is quite cool, it is quite nice, but we are quite interested to see if there's any more activity going on, because I haven't stopped to breathe properly because all sorts of things have been going on, whether it be warthogs walking in front of the cubs, the hyena cubs, I hear that James is now looking for Karula's cubs. So we might see both hyena cubs and Karula's cubs in one morning. So there was a report. So when I was at the hyena den and I was chatting to someone else, that was a man by the name of Lex Hess, and he's very, very, just a great person. I've read a lot of his work over the time, and he's taken great pictures. First time I've actually met him, so I was quite excited. And he gave me a report and said that there's something happening at Buffels Hook. I misread that was actually Buffels Hook Dam, but it was actually in Buffels Hook itself. So there seems to be some activity going on there. Last night there was said to be a number of hyenas that were at a kill there, and that's potentially where the hyenas that we were with now went off, because all those adult hyenas just ran off again and left the cubs down by the den. Leopold's asking, Sam, have you done any tracking outside of South Africa? Yes, Leopold, I have done some. I was living in the countryside of England last year while I was doing my master's in ecological design, and I was tracking deer and badgers on the River Dart in Dartington in South England, or Southwest England, which was amazing. I really, really enjoyed the English countryside. Of course, it's not like driving around the savannah where there are lions and leopards and things, but really England is a very, very beautiful place. The flowers there, the smells, the scents, incredible. And after England last year, I then traveled to Brazil, and I was on the Amazon for a few weeks, and I was on the Pantanal for a couple of weeks. And when I was on the Pantanal, I was living it was quite an interesting experience. I was living at a cattle farm just next door to the Pantanal, and with a very, very good friend of mine. And I asked her family, please, could I go and look in the Pantanal and see if I can find so many animals? And so they let me, and I used to wake up, Leopold, at 4 in the morning in a country where I didn't speak any of that language. It was all Portuguese. Of course, there's some mongoose that are jumping there. That was very cool. Let's see if there they go. Little dwarf mongoose early in the morning. I think that's their dense, that little site at the moment. There's another one just on that. There we go. There we go. Sorry, they just popped into my frame, my eye frame. There's a nice visual of them over here. Just to the right of that tree, to the left of that tree. Let's see if you can see them again. Much like the squirrel that we saw earlier. So they've gone down into that little hole now. Oh, wait, hold on, they haven't. They come back up. If you look down by the tree, so follow that tree down, and then on the ground, yes. There we go, there they are. So there's a number of them, these dwarf mongoose that are running around. Very cool to see you guys early this morning, and much like that squirrel that we were trying to find earlier, they quite like to come out in the morning and get that morning sunlight to warm their body temperatures up. Because they are what we call endothermic animals, much like us. We get our body temperature is influenced by the sun at times. And a reptile, I think, is ectothermic. But that was very, very cool to see you guys so early in the morning. As we know, the dwarf mongoose will move house. So they had one little house at the moment, and they'll get up and they'll pack and they'll go to another place. So they'll have up to 10 different places that they go and hide. And in doing this allows them to have diversity in habitat, so that when there are owls or eagles or anything out there, they get confused on the location of the mongoose. Because if they know that the mongoose are in the same house every night, or a little dwelling, then it'll keep coming back to the same place and kill them off slowly but surely. So the dwarf mongoose has begun to diversify its home in order to protect themselves. I love sitting with dwarf mongoose. They're really cool. It's incredible when you see them with an egg. Sometimes you're lucky enough to see them trying to open an egg, and it's just really funny to see. They get their little claws around the egg and they start moving around and falling all over it. Very, very social, these mongoose. So you get some that are solitary, and the other night we saw a white-tailed mongoose, which is a solitary mongoose, which moves around on its own. So the dwarf mongoose moves around together, and they're very, very clever at times. You know, they'll have one mongoose, sometimes when they're feeding and doing all the things that they're doing in the mounds, or they'll have one mongoose that stands out. He's called the sentinel, I think that's called. He comes out and he looks out for any predators, and he'll make an alarm call to tell the others that something is going on. So a very smart little mongoose that we've just had the privilege of witnessing this morning. But just going back to that question on whether I've tracked in different places. So I was living in the Pantanal last year, and I'd wake up at 4 in the morning and I'd pack my bag with a number of bottles of water and some Powerade, and I would go off into the Pantanal, not knowing any animal, not knowing any bird. It was the biggest adventure I've ever been on. It was incredible. And I went looking for the jaguar and the puma and looking for different various types of birds. I really enjoy my birds, and the birds of the Pantanal are just literally the most beautiful things. There's one bird called the blue macaw, which if you want to have a look at the blue macaw, check it out on Google and just have a look at how beautiful that bird is. They fly together and they fly from tree to tree, and I don't know if you've seen the cartoon movie Rio, but that's the main character. And so I went down the rivers and saw alligator, saw all sorts of weird animals. Capybara, have you ever heard of a capybara? It's like, I can't even explain. It almost looks like a really big guinea pig. It's the best way that I can explain what a capybara looks like. I also saw an armadillo. How cool is that? Megan in Ottawa is asking, Sam, is a mongoose related to a ferret? Megan, I'm actually not sure if they are related. I can't imagine that they are part of the same, because they look quite similar. So they probably came from a very similar family. But it's a good question, Megan. I don't think I've ever seen a ferret before. I don't even know what a ferret would look like. I should have a look at that. Look it up. Compare it to the mongooses that we get down here in southern Africa. Where I was out in the Cederberg Mountains, which is another place that I used to love tracking. Very, very different environment. I used to find tracks of a water mongoose, which is also a solitary mongoose. It's quite a lot bigger. So you'll get the dwarf mongoose, which will be like that big, and you'll get a water mongoose, which will be like this big. I often find tracks of those water mongoose and the Cape clawless otter, which are so cool to see. I don't know if you've ever seen an otter in your life before, but those definitely one of my favorite animals to see is the Cape clawless otter. I saw those in the Pantanal. That was so cool. I was just canoeing. Well, I don't know if it was a Cape clawless, because that's what you get in Cape Town, but it was an otter of some kind. And I was just going down the river, watching kingfishers flying in every direction around me, catching fish. It was amazing. And then all of a sudden, this otter just popped its head. And it was so cool. I can't tell you how much better I feel today. Yesterday afternoon, I took antihistamine. It's called antihistamine. I don't normally take that because I'm basically getting a swelling in my ear. And it's either from, let's take this road. It's either from the dust that is from driving around here, or it's the earpiece that I put in my ear. And so I'm a little bit deaf in this ear, or mostly deaf in my left ear. So when I lose hearing in my right ear, I can't tell you how difficult it is to take you all out on a game drive. But I just feel so good because it's feeling very, very good at the moment. Look at that beautiful shot. Chelsea from Utah is saying, Sam, come to North America and see some elk and moose. Chelsea, you know, I would love to see that. I'd really, really love to see that. As I said, I want to go to Alaska one day and experience Alaska. I know it's much colder than what I'm experiencing here, but I do have some thick jackets that I can wear. But the main reason why I really want to go to those areas, as well as the Yellowstone National Park, is because a political activist as well as an ecologist from England, his name is George Monbiot. He spoke about ecological restoration of wilderness and how we can, you know, reinsert rewild areas, and what would happen if we brought wolves back to an area. And I'm sure many of you are very, very aware of that project that they did at Yellowstone, and how reintroducing the wolves has influenced that landscape dramatically. And that is my passion, you know, rewilding is my passion. You know, what is the benefit of it? Of course, the social and ecological benefit, not just the ecological benefit. But it's that whole understanding that, you know, mountain really knows the genius of the landscape and the wisdom of a wolf rather than us humans. Because that wolf and that mountain are intimately interconnected. Oh. Deborah, armchair traveler, has noticed that my little elephant has fallen down a little bit. Thank you so much, Deborah. Don't want that to happen now. Let's put him back on the dashboard. He tried to follow the breeding herd this morning. We went and we saw one big Ellie bull, and he felt, I think, quite inclined to get out there on the road with his big brothers. But I just said, you know what, you're just a little small wooden elephant, and I don't think it would work. But you can have some dreams, little Ellie. Okay, so we are now on the track west of Buffelshoek Dam, and there's every chance that something might be here. Emily and New Veer, it's so cool to have new viewers. Emily, you're asking how hot and cold does it get out here? Well, it gets very, very hot in the summer season. So our summer season is over December, November. It gets extremely hot. And in the winter, well, hot, okay, let me give you some degrees. Probably around, it can get up to 40 degrees Celsius, which I think in Fahrenheit, I'm not sure what that would be in Fahrenheit. Probably close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. What do you think, Dave? Somewhere around there? So it gets very, very hot in the summer. And the winter, which is what we're going into now, Emily, it also gets freezing, freezing cold. So I've got my big jacket here, which will look after me in the early mornings. But as we get towards... So Kirsty has just updated with me that it is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Thanks, Kirsty. But in the winter, it gets very, very cold. And we are in April at the moment, so we haven't really quite hit the cold season. The cold season will be coming in just a few months. Well, the very, very cold season. We're coming into the autumn period. And you're going to see me in 2 months' time. I'm going to have gloves on. I'm going to have a scarf on. I'm sure Dave is going to be wrapped up as well, because he's on the back of the vehicle. Dave is our cameraman, Emily. So it's just two of us on the vehicle, and it's a live safari. So it's very, very exciting. Anything could happen right now. But just while we look for something, let's see how James is doing out in the wilderness, see if he's finding any cub footprints. We'll see you just now.
Nothing, I'm afraid, as yet, everybody. We turned round when that track petered out and we came back along Leadwood Road. There's another old track here that used to be where a kill was, I think. And I can see Chris's vehicle there. But I can't get hold of Chris on the radio, and that's either because he's looking at baby leopards or because he's all gone off on foot. And unfortunately, I suspect the latter, because I see that his guests are not exactly looking particularly animated there. He might also be stuck, of course. I think he's gone off walking. So she's in here somewhere with those little cubs, everyone, but I think it's probably about time we gave up on this malarkey. Let us just hail them. Are you lost? Are you all right? Should we send a rescue party? Well, we'll just tell them that he died doing what he loved doing.
That's the first problem. The second one is you don't know how to get back to the camp.
Oh, that's all right. We'll send food.
Sorry, James. We've got a Google map.
Okay, good. Well, well done. Chris, any luck there?
Over there, I looked towards that Cambodia over there.
Yeah.
What a place. You know?
Yeah.
We looked and didn't see anything, and heard things down and crossing along
Okay.
behind our vehicle, going that way.
Back again.
I don't know, but by himself, though.
Maybe she left them in there somewhere. They must be in there somewhere.
Gone off to get some peace and quiet.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
Thank you for
Okay,
that.
I think I'm going to move out of the
Yeah, I think we will too. Thanks, Chris. See ya. All right, so I don't know if you heard all that, but he's going to move out of the area as well. One track of the leopard, the female, coming back this way. So she's probably stashed the cubs in that very beautiful sort of Tambuti area that I mentioned to you as we drove through the other side here. Right, Samuel has found something else fascinating to show you.
This is one of the strangest things I've seen in quite some time. What is this elephant doing? It's either trying to scratch the belly or he's trying to climb up that bank. What do you think he's doing, Dave? Ooh. There he goes, getting up there. There he goes. Oh, is it? No. This is a very cool sighting. You can see the young elephants on top there. They were dust bathing, so you'll see them throw some soil or dust in the air now, which will be cool. Maybe this elephant can get up that hill. Hopefully he can. I think he might just give up. Ooh. This is... I think they're playing King of the Castle here. Who's King of the Castle? Check the youngster that's lying down just there. That's so cool. There's a youngster just right next to the one that's trying to get up that slope. We've got two big buffaloes to the left. Yeah. Here's the youngster. So the youngster's just there. It's quite interesting. It looks like the other Ellie's trying to help the other Ellie up that little mound. The youngster's right underneath those two other Ellies. So cool to see this. There we go. Let's put our trunk down the hill. Is that water coming out of it? I think. Just go close to that trunk there. I think it's letting go. Oh no, it's just soil. I thought it was water coming out of the trunk. This is very funny behavior. So there are quite a few of them, and this is what we call a breeding herd of elephants. So it's a whole bunch of ellies, mainly the females and the youngsters that comprise of this. So you can see a very, very young elephant there. I think this elephant's still quite interested in trying to get up this hill. And giving up is not on his list. And what's going to be so cool about the dry season that's coming up is that there's going to be a lot of dust, and they're going to be throwing dust around themselves, trying to cool themselves down and get rid of all the flies and all the parasites that might be annoying them. But it's so cool to watch dust fly around ellies. It makes them look very, very magical. It's a very interesting behavior with that young ellie there. So there's another ellie just into the thicket to the right of them there that's feeding. So there's one feeding right in the thicket there. And there's a couple of them actually, you can see the dust blowing up, just what I spoke about now. To the right there, you can see dust flying everywhere, and it looks like they've just got wet, and they're now putting dust on top of themselves. But now look, the ellie's trying to get back up the hill now. He's going for round 2. And you can do this, you can get up there. Anyway, just need to get the other leg up there. Just need to position. No, okay, I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think that's going to work out, yeah. There we go. It was worth a try. Might as well go around. You know, sometimes you just got to know in life when you can't do something. When you're reaching a little bit too high for the cookie jar. Very cool to see these ellies now feeding and getting a little drink of water. It's going to be a hot day today, so I don't think this will be the last time that they come through. Ooh. He's now walking back up to his friends, to his family. What would be awesome now is if we see maybe this ellie that's right here in a good shot in terms of watching some dust flying out in the sky. But what will be happening is that the elephants are going to be moving in an easterly direction. So when we notice that they start heading, we'll go back down this road and we can potentially watch them move right next to our vehicle, which would be very cool. But we saw that little elephant lying down. That's not something we can... Well, you know what? I've actually seen that a few times now with the young elephants that like to lie down, especially underneath the mother's stomachs. The light's still getting a little bit harsher as the day progresses, but it's still a nice light on these ellies this morning. Have a look at that one right next to that tree there. See, now, what elephants will do often is they'll go down to the watering hole, get wet, dust bath, and then they'll go up to trees and they'll scrape themselves on the sides of trees. And the reason why they're doing that is it helps them get rid of the parasites that are now stuck in the mud that they've just wet. That helps them get rid of their ticks. And it's really interesting. If we actually go to that tree a bit later, after seeing that it's rubbed itself, we can actually find those ticks within that mud that is on the side of the tree. So we're going to see if we can get to a position where we might be able to view these elephants a bit better. With that, let's go and see how James is doing, and we'll be back with the Ellies.
Hello everybody, we've just come to show you something rather foul. You will read often that hyena dung, of course, is white, but it doesn't come out white. It comes out this amazingly sort of attractive green color, and then it oxidizes. This is the calcium. Calcium in its natural form is green, and then it oxidizes with the sun and turns into lime. Basically, it turns white. But it comes out this astonishing, well, very attractive. I mean, you might paint your house this color, wouldn't you, VM?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? The smell is actually not nearly as bad as lion smell. Anyway, that's the hyena dung. But slightly more interestingly, over here, we have got 2 tracks of a male leopard. The front track and the back track. And he's been walking up this road, I think, sometime last night. It looks like Tingana to me. We've left the area where Karula was. We did have 1 track of hers coming out of the area, so we think maybe she stashed the cubs, as I said. But this male leopard is quite a nice prospect, so we'll drive up the road here. He looks like he's marking territory. So, I mean, he could be all the way into Buffels Hoek by now. I think that's from last night. But that's the sort of general plan of what we're going to do for the remainder of this very pleasant drive. Huge fun at Buffels Hoek Dam, it sounds like, with that elephant. I think that's remarkable. Sounds very amusing indeed, watching him trying to climb up and down the dam wall there. Megan, a nice one from you. You say, do a hyena ever eat different things like plants and berries that would change the color of their dung? I don't think that I've ever seen a hyena eat grass. I've seen plenty of lions eat grass. I think brown hyena are probably much more likely to eat that sort of thing. But no, the spotted hyena, I think, is almost strictly a carnivore. And I think that you'll find, you know, they have such an impressive digestive system that I think the roughage they need is probably just the hair that they get off the animals that they kill. I've definitely seen lions eating grass. I'm not sure. I think that's, you know, sort of line the stomach a bit. I've never seen hyenas doing that. So I think you'll find that hyenas, of all the carnivores out here, are probably even more carnivorous than most. We're not going to spend too much time actually tracking this leopard, because he is, I think he's moved quite far. Let's go back to your elephant, and he's having a dust bath.
So we are back with the elephants, and they are now currently right in front of us. I'm not going to get too close to them. I want them to feel uncomfortable. What I want was for them to maybe do a little dust bath. There we go, there's some dust bathing going on over there. But I know that there's one that has been throwing dust all over his head, just to the right of us. So potentially, there we go, the one right here is doing. That's cool. That's very cool. There we go. You can just see him behind the squarry bush. I can see the one through the foliage also doing it. Beginning to flap their ears. That helps them cool down as it gets hotter, as a lot of their blood vessels are in their ears. So when they flap their ears like that, they are helping cool down their body. But if we listen, we can hear the sound of them eating. Diane's asking, you know, when they're digging down into the ground here, could they potentially be looking for some minerals in the soil? It's a good observation, Diane. They could very well be doing that. I know that some animals do that. think it's called geophagia. Geophagia. So you get some animals that even, will go up to bones if they find old bones. It's called ostrophagia. Well, there's an ellie coming very close to us. Stand still. She's smelling. She wants to know what we are. There's one just to the left of us. It's a female with a youngster. I'm very safe in this position. You can tell by the way in which the animal is behaving around us, by the way in which how they're feeling. So if they are feeding like they are now, they're feeling fine. But the youngster, have a look at the young one here. Playing with its trunk, trying to smell what we are. Hello. I think he's trying to get my little, he saw this elephant on my dashboard. It's like, there's another small ellie. I'm sorry, but that's just a wooden ellie. Have a look here, you can really see this elephant eating this food. This is so cool. It's eating from a knobthorn tree. You can see it wrap its trunk right around that branch. He breaks it off, there we go, and then feeds himself. Very different method to what we use with a spoon. You can see right up his mouth. Could be a female, rather. You can tell the difference between a female and a male elephant purely through the head. The head can tell you a lot. So just looking at it, looks like a female, actually.
Mind your head there.
Ooh, my head's in the way. I was getting, ooh, little Ellie's getting closer. Ah, little Ellie. I think he saw that I was distracted with the other elephant and saw the opportunity to potentially take this little Ellie off my dashboard. He's getting closer now. I don't think you can take it. It's quite important that I know that you want to join the breeding herd. There we go. So he's looking like he wants to feed. Oh wow, that's cool to see. See how much difficult it is for them. More difficult it is for them to use their trunks as it is for the elder ones that have practiced it over a number of years. Still managed to get a few leaves there. Nice one. Dave, the little Ellie nearly got taken, eh?
Yeah.
Don't want that to happen. Have a look here. We can see this Ellie's trunk is getting right around these branches here. Have a look at those tusks, if you can see them. Can't see the tusks right now. It's right behind the bush. So a lot of when you are with animals out here, it's all about the behavior in which they are interacting with you. And by communicating, in a sense, by understanding the way in which they are behaving, we can behave accordingly. What do we have there? Oh, we got the... Oh. Yeah, the one's getting on top of the little one. Jeez, that's going to be quite heavy. Have a look at that. It's wrapped its leg right around the little Ellie. So nice to listen to the sound of ellies as they walk through this thicket. Listen to that, it's awesome. Big, graceful animals, and the breeding herd is now beginning to move off. What a fantastic sighting with these elephants. John here is still feeding right next to us, so we'll relax here a little longer as we watch them move off away from us. He's gone very, very still now. Look, they've all gone very still. Have you noticed that? They're very, very still. Why is that? There we go. Start moving again. You know what's so amazing also is that elephants have the ability, I think they can hear it around 5 hertz. So that sound, I think it's called hertz. It's 5 hertz frequency. And we listen to frequency at around 25. So they're listening to, they can hear and communicate 5 times less the frequency that we do. So they could be having a full-time conversation. Well, we can't hear a single thing that they're saying or communicating with each other, which is, we basically live in the animal kingdom within a whole bunch of different frequencies. And we are just sitting on one of them, communicating on that frequency. When you start going into the oceans, you get into very, very different frequencies. Can you hear that sound? That is not the sound of a waterfall. It is the sound of an elephant going to the toilet. So that was an incredible sighting that we just had with those elephants. Kathy, when the elephants make that sound, it's coming from their trunks. That's where that sound's coming from. It's very loud. Have a look at the buffaloes that are here. Hello, Mr. Buffs. They've got a number of oxpeckers on them. Let's see if we can find a yellow-billed oxpecker. Let's have a quick look at those oxpeckers. Because I haven't seen a yellow-billed oxpecker yet, and that's what I want to see. No, 1, 2, 3 on that one. Juveniles, 2 red-billed, and the other one has 2 red. Oh, have a look at that scratch mark on the side of the buffalo there. Can't see it. I'll get in another position for you, Dave. It's very interesting. Could have been attacked by something, maybe even last night. There is blood. This buffalo over here is also going to the toilet right next to the water. Ooh. I don't mean to give you a fright, Mr. Buffalo. So as you can see here, we're now at the northern end of Buffelshoek Dam. The elephants are now heading in what seems to be a northeasterly direction. There they go. It was a very cool sighting of them. If we have a look at this buffalo just to the left here, as it walks off into this thicket, you'll see that it's got that significant red scarring on the top right-hand side, just by that leg. Can't see it now, but it was looking quite red. We know that the lions have been, well, the Birmingham boys were here in the hole for about 4 days last week. So that could have very well have happened with them. Okay, so Buffelshoek Dam brought lots of cool things, from elephants to buffaloes to red-billed buffalo weed. Oh, that's a very cool bird. Just so that we can have a look at it before we link to James. It's a wagtail. Pied wagtail. Cool. Watch where they walk and they move their little tails. One of my favorite birds to watch, the pied wagtail. I've already got that to my bird list. If you haven't got it, write it down. With that, let's go and see how James is doing.
Thank goodness for all of the action at Buffelshoek, everybody. Not much going on where I am. We came back to sort of the area where Shadow was and hoping that we'd find her draped gently over a tree with an impala lying lifeless next to her. But unfortunately, that has not happened. I saw one impala. He was very much alive. He looked very happy. He bucked slightly as we drove past him. And that's sort of all we found. So now we're going to head up towards quarantine clearings. And maybe some of those giraffes we saw there yesterday will be around. Otherwise, the search will resume this afternoon. The flies, of course, are out in force, naturally. One has to drive along like this. Otherwise, they get into one's eyes, ears, nose, mouth. Of course, this is not sustainable because it looks ridiculous. Do you have other flies with you?
Okay.
You're okay. He's only got 2. Liam, of course, showered this morning. I don't think I did. Did you shower this morning, Liam?
No, last time I showered was yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's the trick then. How many snacks did you have today, Liam?
Only 1 banana.
Only 1 banana. You must be ravenous. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Leopold, you say, I saw a leopard and that's quality over quantity. Well, I think to a certain extent that's true. I don't feel like my day has been an entire waste of time. I do think that it's wonderful, though, that Sam had those hyenas. I feel we've been kind of, we've been a little remiss going to see them of late. And likewise, they've been a little remiss in their performance for us. But today they came back with a bang. And then elephants, of course. No elephants I have seen for a while. And it seems like there are lots of them on Buffelshoek today. And that means that some of them will probably come down south here, which will be great. It's so lovely when there are elephants around. They're always entertaining to watch, especially if you happen to bump into them while you're tracking something else. That's the best. I think we're in for another fairly hot autumnal day. I think the temperature's probably going to rise up to around 32 or 33 degrees, which is into the low 90s in Fahrenheit. And yeah, it wasn't cold this morning. I mean, we were wearing a bit of jersey, but it certainly wasn't that chilly. And this is, like I've said to you before, I think is the best time of the year for temperature. And Diana, you know that it doesn't snow here regularly, obviously. You're in England and you want to know if it has ever snowed in the Sabi Sands. I'm going to say no. I'm 99.99% sure that that is the case. And one of the reasons I'm so sure of it is that there is no word for snow in the local language. So Xitsonga or Shangaan has no word for snow, and that must be because it doesn't occur here. There is a word for ice, but it's borrowed from the Zulu, and that is Iqwa. And so it's kind of become Shiqwa in Shangaan, but it's borrowed from the Zulu. And the Zulus do live up around the mountains, around the Drakensberg, and so they would have a word for ice and snow. You can sometimes, I've seen it once, but there's a massive cold front that blows through in the winter. Sometimes you'll get snow on the Drakensberg mountains off to the far west, and I have seen it from here once. You just see a little white sheen on top of the mountains there. It's very, very unusual. It probably happens once every 10 years or so, Diane. There is Slim Shady going for breakfast. at 150 miles an hour. Slim Shady is hungry this morning. We'll do a little loop down through the middle of quarantine clearings now and just see if anything isn't up here. That little giraffe yesterday was too precious. Just after we got back from drive, it was standing on a termite mound, sort of looking around, surveying the world, and quite a nice sort of nuclear family they seem to have set up, those giraffe, with the male and the female and the youngster together. That is, of course, not usual. It's usually... Now dust. Thank you, Slim Shady. Now there is... normally, of course, the female giraffe is on her own to raise the youngsters. The one other thing I want to show you here, and I've tried to film it and failed, but you'll get an idea with this camera. If Willem pans gently over the top of these now withering sort of annual flowers here, lots of Waltheria and the devil's thorn and the string of stars and various other flowers, you can still see the butterflies fluttering around. But they're starting to get less and less each day. And it's been a real special thing this April to come walking through this clearing and these clouds of butterflies, monarchs and pansies and whites and painted ladies and jokers and guinea fowl butterfly leap up and out of here. It's been very, very special indeed. Anyway, they will go out for another season. The butterflies, of course, as annual as the flowers that they feed on. Right, everyone, that's going to be it from us this morning. We'll see you this afternoon. We'll resume the sort of search for all the leopards of this area. I'm always nervous when there's so many around because it often means that we don't see any. Anyway, hopefully this afternoon we'll be lucky. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to VM for your efforts today. That's VM's thumb and hairy hand. We'll see you this afternoon at 3:30. Bye-bye.
So we have had an exciting morning, whether it be with the hyenas and running around, looking at where they're going and coming back to the den and seeing those cubs, to the warthogs, to that big elite bull this morning. It's been fascinating to watch all the different behaviors. We've been very lucky on drive. We've got some nice antelope just ahead of us as well. It looks like a kudu, some kudu moving. But we are coming towards the end of our show, so we're not going to be able to talk too much about the kudus ahead of it. But I know that I started talking about endothermic and ectothermic, and I couldn't really talk about that more. I'd like to talk about that in the afternoon drive or tomorrow, whenever. So if you have any questions, I'll see you a little bit later around those subjects. Otherwise, I'm feeling much better today. Mr. Ellie's had a great time. He wanted to join one of the breeding herds, but I said I don't think that's a good idea. And I will be out this afternoon, so we'll see if we can find some more breeding herds. I would love to see if we can find wild dogs. I know I wanted to see this morning to find tracks, so we'll head off towards the other cut line, drive on that cut line, see if we can find any tracks this afternoon. Potentially we'll find some cubs, some Karula's cubs out there. If I can, I might take out Rusty. That might take us all the way down to Cheetah Plains, and Inkanyeni, who we sat with the other day, we can find. With that, the show was all because of you, so thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your time. See you later.